guys, thank you so much for having me. So what I've done is I have just made a few slides where I feel like I can give you a lot of value, right? So I will introduce myself a little bit later because you're not really here for me. You're here to learn how to generate some MSP leads or maybe generate more efficiently. So let's jump in. By the way, I'm sorry, I just come back from my holiday. The shirt is really tight. I'm going to be sweating like a pig. So just so you know. Okay, so what you'll be seeing MSP leads. Most of you don't even really know what they look like because you get referrals, right? That's how lots of MSPs grow. But when they come in through the door, they look exactly like this. So you can see like 50 users, 25 users, 10 users, 70 users, 28, 45, 30, and so on. And if you're going to zoom in on these a little, they're going to look more like this. So this, for example, is a 100 user company. Hi, I want to talk about your solutions pricing, really basic. 30, looking for an outsourced IT partner. 45, looking for quotes. 200 users, right? Feel free to reach out and so on, more leads and also phone calls, right? So these are basically the kind of leads that you want to get from your local markets. They're not from far away lands. These are literally the companies in your city, and they just reach out to you at the bottom of the funnel. They're probably going to send an email like this or a form to 2 or 3 people. You're one of them. And then it's going to be up to you to close the sale, right? So that's how this stuff works. I'm going to show you how this works. Okay, so in order to do this, which is awesome, guess what? You don't have to be an experienced marketer. You also don't need to have lots of free time, although a little bit of free time does help here, especially if you want to do it yourself. This is also not a spamming strategy at all. I hate spam. We're MSPs, right? We're supposed to protect people against spam. And good news about this as well is this is not even very expensive. However, if you do have cash, it scales extremely well. So I'm going to be teaching you a little bit about how to do this yourself. Now, for the record, this is for MSPs only, and it's specifically for selling your MSP services. So this is not necessarily for project work or if you got some cool pen testing tool that you developed, right? This is not that. This is just, as you saw, hire wanting to work with a new MSP. I would say like 80% of the leads you get, they already have an MSP to try and swap. Okay, let's dive in. So today we're going to be talking about a mix of fundamentals and some advanced tactics. And people are always more interested in the advanced tactics, but the fundamentals are actually much more important. Okay, so why listen to us? Well, what's cool about us is that we've done this so many times that we've templated the entire process. We've SOP'd it, and we've made it repeatable. So you can see Matt, Tom, Josh, Roshi here, all saying like, look, we tried other agencies and it never worked, right? And now with these guys, voila, 3 sales in a couple of months, an abundance of leads and so on. And that's because we do one thing really well, and that's the thing that I'm about to show you. Now, I got a little gift for you too. If you finish this whole training, this whole webinar, at the end, I'll tell you where to get our keyword cheat sheets. So if you know a little bit about marketing, then you can kind of imagine how expensive it is to figure out what the best MSP keywords are, right? What are the keywords you have to bid on Google Ads and for SEO? Where do you want to rank in order to get the best conversions, the highest conversion rates? So I'm just literally going to give that to you. People build entire companies around this information. My gift to you, and it will help you implement basically some of the other things I'm trying to teach you today, right? Because Pulseway invited me and I'm here to provide with as much as value as possible. Okay, so like I said, it's not about me. I just want to help you guys, but my name is Lodewijk Veldhuizen. That's complex. Call me Louis, I understand. I'm the founder of a company called MSP Launchpad. You'll see the logo flying around this presentation sometimes. And we've helped over 100 MSP. We're in every major English-speaking market. I've spoken with like 1,000 MSP business owners. I also used to work at an MSP. And before I did that, I was also a business traction consultant. So I helped startups get their first customers and so on, right? So I've been doing this for a long time. And then you can see me here just coaching people. In fact, bottom right corner is in Bhutan that I was flown out to teach the government and the titans of industry. You see me getting bottles of Dom Perignon and stuff. Okay. So, but of course, what's more important is that we are specialists. And these are all people that gave us video testimonials. You can find them on msplaunchpad.com. And I'm just going to slam proof at you because I want you guys to know that the information I'm going to be giving you today is legit. Okay, so let's start with a fundamental question. And I think you might already know the answer to this. Is serving your customers well? Is it actually enough to survive in the MSP industry? And that's going to be a tough question because I've spoken with a lot of MSP business owners and they the longer you are in the MSP industry, the closer you get to burnout, basically, is what I'm seeing. Like when you lose that fire, that's also when you lose that growth. And MSP business owners, they tell me that they really can't rely on referrals or luck anymore. In fact, when they have a lead generation problem, usually their first instinct is to just try and outsource. And that burns a ton of cash and a bunch of time. But of course, lead generation is important. So they try again, and then they burn more cash and more time. And I want to help you guys avoid that, because before you know it, you're 3 years down the line. And for me in my business, if I just waste 1 or 2 weeks, it feels like an absolute nightmare to me. So I cannot imagine what it's like to waste half a year or a year. Like, that's dreadful. And also what people tell me, the MSP business owners, cold outreach just doesn't work. Cold calling, cold emailing, that stuff, forget it, never works. And they run around in circles for ages, right? It's not a good time to be an MSP business owner in general. Is pretty stressful. And and then if you don't even have good lead flow, I can't imagine. Okay. So I would say like 98 of all the MSPs that at least I get acquainted with, because I can only give you my perspective, right, is that 98% get stuck. And that can usually, it's around the 1 to 2 million a year mark. I see some MSPs grow a little bit larger. I never see them get over 5 without real good marketing help. But usually it's 1 or 2 and then they get stuck, and they will stay there for decades. And 1 to 2 million, if you're an absolute newbie, sounds cool, but your profit margin on that is not worth the stress of being an MSP business owner, if you ask me. And that means that 49 out of 50 MSPs, they just bomb, right? They never grow past the $1 to $2 million a year mark. And the 1 in 50 that do make it, they spend all their money trying to figure it out, because learning how to generate leads for MSPs is really tough. So I mentioned, hey, local agencies, sounds cool, right? We need leads, so we go to an agency. But why can't they actually help? Because aren't they the experts, right? And the problem is that most agencies, they don't understand your service. You know this. A lot of businesses don't really understand what MSPs do. But they also don't really then understand why people want to buy it. So that's a problem, right? Then, even if they understand your service and why people would want to buy it, then still they lack the assets necessary to efficiently develop campaigns. Negative keyword list, a whole bunch of other stuff with like industry specific know-how. So even if they do understand, they would still have to start developing everything on your dime. They will spend your money, and I mean literally $50, $100, $200,000 of your money to develop stuff that you would be more efficient at getting. And but the sad truth is like, honestly, they don't even know if they can help. They will just lie to you or be optimistic. And here's another thing that they really can't get. You can see that I'm pushing this at you. I'm really trying to warn you against local agencies, because I just never see it work out, right? And you know this, and this is also 4 years of experience talking, because I've been doing this for 4 years. MSP Launchpad has 25 employees at this moment in time. Like, your prospects are married to their existing MSPs. Swapping MSPs is so painful. No one likes swapping MSPs. And a client is going to be on the market once every 8 or 10 years or so. So that means that you have a very small window in time to grab them. And because they are so married to their current provider, you can't do cold outreach, right? Just bringing it to you, it's really hard. Cold calling doesn't close, eats all your time. Email blast doesn't close, burns your reputation in your local market. LinkedIn outreach doesn't close, eats all your time. Trust me, if it worked, we would do it. We've tried, right? So cold outreach is catastrophically expensive, and it's soul crushing, especially things like cold calling, because you will get some meetings, but you can have 20 or 30 of those meetings and 0 closing, because they just like, they want to be entertained and you come by. Quite often they're in the middle of the contract with their current provider. It's just like, it's not worth it, and it will destroy your team's morale. And aside from paying to do that service, now you also have all the opportunity cost of actually wasting your time on that, right? So it's catastrophically expensive to do cold outreach. But of course, why did we get into the industry? Well, maybe because we like tech, but also, I mean, once you get a client, you're set, right? what I find is from everyone I speak to, there are a few MSPs that would estimate the average lifetime cycle of a client before they churn in 5 years or so. But most of the MSPs I speak to, they say, look, my clients stay with me forever, like 10, 15 years. So what I've done is I've set an average of 8 years, neither optimistic nor pessimistic, just neutral. And I did the tiniest contract size, 2,500 MRR. That means that if you get that one specific client that is already 240,000 without upsells, without inflation, without referrals, like every client is worth a good bag of change. And when I say 240,000, like this is what, 30 endpoints or even less. So it could just as easily be 500,000 or 1 million, excluding the referrals and everything. So there is a lot of rewards at the other side of the lead generation problem, right? So now we kind of know the rules of the game. So what we know is that we want to solve this problem because then it's worth a tiny fortune to you. But what we also know is that your clients, your prospects, they are already married to an MSP and they're hard to attract, right? And they will really primarily swap when they are really fed up with their current MSP. So what happens is that if you set this up correctly, and you can see this picture here, you kind of like turn your MSP into a little magnet for frustrated frustrated business owners who are fed up with the current MSP, you'll get stuff like this. So you get leads coming in that are ready to buy. And this is huge because loads of you are getting leads, but they're all trash, right? Aren't they? So only through inbound marketing do you get good leads. So here, for example, 40 users. We've been with the company for 6 years and we're looking to swap. 22 users looking for a new IT company, hoping to get over our current one. 27 users. I mean, this guy's IT support technician's retiring. Like, frustrated is maybe the wrong word here, but the pain is so large they have to swap. 40 users looking for a new MSP. 28 users looking to switch, right? So that's really the secret. 80% of the leads that are in the market, they are switching MSPs, and you should set up your system in order to attract companies like that. So 60 users and looking to swap. Like, okay, clearly this is an exception because there aren't that many 500 user companies in any given market. But if there are 500 user companies in your market, then if you have a good system, they can come to you. And, you know, this is a game changer for tons of MSPs. And look and swap, you can see it. Okay, so now how do we set this up, right? Long introduction. Hopefully I got you because I want to show you now what to do, right? So tactic one is basically local SEO. And local SEO is my favorite because it's fast, it's cheap, it's easy. And I mean, in fact, it's so easy that restaurants do this, right? So let's dive in and discuss it in a little bit more detail. Look, the reason this works is because everyone shops this way. Everyone shops this way. You shop this way. I'm sure you do. So what you do is you want to create systems that hook into how people naturally buy, right? Why would you email people? How often did you buy something from a cold email? Probably never. But what you do, and go through this exercise with me, if you want to buy something you don't really understand, let's say you're looking for some advice on taxes or legal or something, right? So you can see here on the top, you can see tax advisor near me. That's what we're Googling. If pretend that's me, I have no idea what I'm buying. This little map will show up because I'm trying to do business with a business, right? Tax advisor near me, I'm trying to find a business. And then who would I pick? Well, in my case, I mean, first thing I do, you probably too, take a look at the testimonials, right? Who has the most testimonials? And then also take a look at the map. Can I use my mouse here? Yes, I can. Fantastic. You can see which pins here are showing up here. And you can see these other little red spots here as well. And what I probably would also do is I would kind of like mouse over here and try to find other pins with lots of testimonials. And what I would do is I would take a look at the services here. This guy is a specialist. This is a tax preparation service. These are just accountants, right? So this is just a very clear cut, one person in, two people out, and maybe there's a diamond in the rough here that I would try to find, right? And I would click on them and I would try to just kind of validate who is a good fit, because I want to see pictures and I want to just understand if this company is clean, is it organized, is it trustworthy? Remember, like, I have no idea what I'm buying. So I'm just going to base my best guess on the testimonials and pictures and imagery and distance and so on, right? So, but what I probably wouldn't do is I probably would not go here anymore. Would I? Are you still doing this? Like, can you honestly tell me that with this system here, you're going to go here and you're going to open up all these links? Probably not, right? Because you want to start. I mean, sorry for all the assumptions here, but I'm speaking in general terms. You probably would want to start with the foundation of testimonials and take it from there, right? So that means that this stuff is kind of dead for MSP lead generation, not entirely, it's a big statement, but it's close. Like we get 5% of your leads from there. The 95 is the rest. So not that important anymore. And that's good because ranking there is really expensive anyway. So reality, that was very like a small town. This is a normal town. In fact, this is a pretty competitive city. So the example here is Melbourne, and this is what it typically looks like. This is as cookie cutter standard as it's going to get in a relatively competitive area. So you would have like one guy with a little bit over 30 testimonials, 113, 112. I look at this guy's immediately out because we know that 4.2 in Google's rubbish, right? So you would want to have a 4.7 or up. And what that means is that there's lots of wiggle room for you to come in here, right? It's like, oh no, I need testimonials, so intimidating. But look, like this is Melbourne, this is not that, it's not that small, right? And coming in here, you just need what? 15, 16, 17, maybe 20 testimonials, and you'd already be the runner-up, right? And you might have a very different profile from this company that might appeal more to those other people. So you just need to like optimize a little, and you can set some automations. Like, for example, when your ticketing system completes a ticket, you can ask automatically for a testimonial, which then automatically gets posted to your Google Business profile. And before you know it, you're in the races. Like, this is not hard, you know, it's a little bit of setting up. So do this, get in here, because remember, like restaurants do this too, right? It's not that hard. But if I go to a restaurant, I want to see pictures of the food and I want to see pictures of the restaurant. I don't want to see stock imagery. And these kind of like little things, just keep that into account when you're setting this up. And also just like final thing, and then I'll stop driving this home because really this is almost free to set this up, right? That's why I'm giving this to you. And I want you to do this. Like, this is number one. Okay, so this is London. London is the market in the world with the highest search volume. And AirIT is one of the top 3 MSPs in the country. And they have 233 testimonials. This pure MSP. That's an amazing amount of testimonials. And that's hard to beat. Now, Sonar IT is our customer. And Sonar IT is, like half a dozen guys, or something like that. And this is actually, a long story short, we haven't optimized them in a while for various reasons. But a year and a half later, they're still in here and getting leads from the system. And the reason this matters is because I just want to show you, it's not as stupid as you need the most testimonials, right? Because again, that's also not how you shop. This is more than enough to be trustworthy. And in the end, that's what it's about. And it's about being the most attractive to your market, because loads of people don't want to work with a massive MSP. So even if you have a small MSP, right, it's about communicating that clearly so the people who are looking for small MSPs know that you're their guy, right? Probably expecting a little bit cheaper service, more personal attention. And just like that, there is a lid for every cup. But for AirIT, it's the same. They know they're going to attract the larger businesses, right? So everyone here in this map is winning. And so Josh, this guy, Sonar IT, 2 leads in 1 day, speaking with petroleum companies, 70 users, plus 20,000% traffic, right? It works. So start there, right? And this, of course, is where it gets a little bit more complex, because restaurants probably aren't visible across the entirety of 14 miles, 22 kilometers. But if you really dig a little bit deeper, you can use the city to have massive, massive ranges on where you show up. So in case and those people I speak to have never seen this software, but this basically shows you where you rank in the Google map, right? So they do run searches from all of these locations. So this position 1, 2, 3. And it doesn't matter if you're 1 or 2 or 3, because people just check here for the testimonials. But being 1 or 2 or 3 is the best. Okay, so look, because MSPs are so slow at just properly adopting good systems to generate leads. I'm telling you, this is a freaking blue ocean, and it will not be a big effort to, getting this as optimized as this takes a little bit longer, but just showing up in the map with lots of testimonials and having some pretty pictures is not that hard, and that will get you leads, right? So do it. Okay, so, and also these leads, again, they don't want to think they want to buy. They're not sending inquiries for fun, right? They're like, they want to swap from the current MSP, like close that one from Tuesday, fastest client we ever gotten, right? Received the lead today and on the weekend. And then even just a small, I mean, this is a project, admittedly, 2 big leads. And I know that both of these closed. And also, again, there's like 200,000, 250,000 USD or something. Good for him. Okay, that's a nice week, right? So that was number one. And that is a huge piece that I want to give to you. Now, also another tactic, and this is something that I want to share with you in case you're already running Google Ads or thinking about doing it. And this is more of a mindset shift than anything else, right? But I want to show you how to make your Google Ads more efficient, and it's special for a certain reason. Also, here we have Ben, and just pointing out that with Ben, his company spent like 100 grand on Google Ads with 0 results, 0, null leads, right? So doing this correctly is really important. And what I'm about to show you will add dramatically to that, right? Oh, and by the way, when they started working with us, first sale in 3 weeks, 3 weeks, not lead, but sale. But basically, when you do the Google Ads, you want to keep the grandmas out, right? Because the grandmas are clicking, right? And the tiny, tiny companies that you might not want to have, they are clicking. So you want to also make sure that these guys just don't click on your ad, because you pay per click, right? Which is fantastic. You want to show up as much as possible, but you want to make sure that you really show up on the correct keywords and not on junk where the conversion rate is really low. So how do you do that, right? AI is so massive, right? In the past, developing these assets literally cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. And ChatGPT is huge now at helping with it, absolutely huge. So that MSP keyword cheat sheet that I promised I would give to you later, you use that to pick the right keywords. And then you use AI to build what is a negative keyword list. And basically what that means is saying, I don't want to show up on this stuff, right? So if someone types free IT support, you don't want them to click your ad and waste your money. If someone types IT support jobs, you don't want them to click that and waste your money, right? So you want to have a list of these words that Google will not show you on, like free and jobs and etc. And that is so easy to do, but all the MSPs that are small and trying to figure this stuff out themselves, they're not doing it. They try Google Ads for 2 to 3 months, it doesn't work, and then they stop, which is a shame because this is a perfect channel to attract customers, right? So take this along. Use AI and just go to it and say like, hey, I want a negative keyword list for MSPs, and just keep asking questions, right? So like, hey, maybe can you, let me say, how would I approach this? I would say, hey, I have an MSP in this location. I want to have a negative keyword list for our Google Ads campaigns. We're using these keywords, right? Which you can have on that brochure. And then you say like, I want negative keyword list and I want to have as large a list as possible. So before we start building the negative keyword list with just words, first I want to start thinking about categories. Categories like how to, categories like guides and free, categories like free, categories that are job related, and then name all the other categories that you can think of that we can build lists of, right? And just like that, you basically prompt for like 15 minutes until you get 1,000 negative keywords, and you read through them and you've just saved yourself literally 100 grand, right? In the past, that wasn't possible. Congratulations. But wait, there's more. And this is like, was a game changer for us as well. When you have search terms like managed IT services or IT support, which is a fantastic keyword that drives lots of conversions, but you also have university IT support and hospital IT support and other institutions IT support, right? People just looking for IT support from their university. So what you want to do is you want to scrape all the institutions around your MSP in really like a 200-mile, 320-kilometer range. Just go bananas on it. It doesn't matter. It just costs 5 or 10 minutes extra time. So why not go all the way and you want to put all these things in a negative keyword list. So not only that, you also want to build the acronyms, because if it provides you the universities, then you say, hey, turn them into acronyms, because people are not going to type Massachusetts Institute of Technology IT support, right? They're going to type MIT IT support. So you also want to get the acronyms. You want to clean up the list a little, make sure that your locations aren't in there. And what you also want to do is you want to scrape all the MSPs around your area. And you also want to make sure that you don't show up on their keywords, like whatever. I'm going to say Firefox. I know it's a browser, but let's pretend there's an MSP called Firefox IT support, right? Because if they click on your ad, like, we don't get good conversion rates on it. So just get rid of all of them. It's going to waste you money. It's not that clean. So this is actually, we use another software for this because we found that LLMs aren't particularly great at this, like ChatGPT. So we use outscraper.com, which is fantastic, and it will grab almost everything. So if you build negative keyword lists like this, total effort, 2.5 hours, will save you literally, I'm using the term literal as in literal, $150,000 to $200,000 for 2.5 hours of work, right? Do it, right? Seriously. Okay. And then again, it's like this guy says, we also understand Google Ads ourselves, and we can see that these guys are undoubtedly the best we have ever worked with. Thank you. Good testimonial. Let's keep going. Now, let's say that you are visible with local SEO, right? Which is in a little range around your business, right? It's like you can only find restaurants at a certain distance, and then they don't really show up in the recommendations anymore. It's going to be the same for your MSP, right? Unless, I mean, just always, basically, no one shows an MSP on the other side of the world. So what you want to do is you still want to scale, right? And you want to keeping the lead flow going. Now, this is really quite simple. What you want to do is you just want to replicate this across a variety of markets. So what you do is you expand to other cities using a Google Business Profile, because this gives people the belief that you are close to them. And trust me, when they believe that you are close to them, your conversion rate is going to go way up. I understand you're doing most of your work remote, but just giving them the idea that you are close by will get you a ton of extra leads and a lot cheaper. Trust me. So check this many, many times. So you set that up and you use your Google Business Profile, right? That you make pretty for your local SEO, like we just discussed. But here's the big thing. So what most MSPs do, when they expand to a different city, they just put it where they think all the businesses are. But guess what? That's also where all the other MSPs are, right? And that makes it a very competitive area. Instead, what you could do and should do is you should pick an area where there aren't many MSPs. Give you an example. What if your car is broken and there's one mechanic in the area? You got to go to that mechanic. And it's very similar for MSPs. When there's just 2 or 3 MSPs or one MSP in the area, everything comes to you. So just do that. And why would you bother with competition when you can just strategically position yourself? So do that, because we find that our customers that just we find that our customers in the outskirts, they're getting more leads than the people inside the city center, right? Which is crazy, but that's very often, that's how it works. I wouldn't generalize that across everything, but I wouldn't be afraid that being a little bit further away is meaning that you're going to get no leads. Besides, there are ways to check volume, and that, of course, also matters. Okay, so be smart about that and choose an underserved market, right? Just open up the map and figure out how to analyze the market, search volume, etc. You can use Google Ads for that, watch a YouTube video, and go about doing that. And then you can just position yourself in such a way that life becomes a lot easier and a lot cheaper, right? And you can grow a lot more effectively. Okay, so there's other benefits to that, because if you want to scale, there's this mystery SEO thingy that is basically how much Google trusts you. It's called domain authority. And basically, the more competitive an area, the higher your domain authority is likely to need to be in order to be able to play there, because your competitors are going to have a higher domain authority, and Google's going to prioritize them over you unless you have similar domain authority, or other ways to make you very attractive, like lots of testimonials and so on. So, but what's the good thing is, of course, is that if you're in this exact city center, your domain authority needs to be sky high, but here, no. So you can also expand to multiple cities much, much faster. So it's just having a good system will allow you to grow a lot quicker, effectively. Okay, so and I'll get you like imagine just having huge ranges on multiple cities. It's not always that easy, right? Just for a long time. And I would not necessarily shoot for huge ranges on multiple cities. I would just shoot for fantastic ranges on multiple cities and prioritize having sufficient testimonials and so on. And you're going to clean up shop like 8, a dozen, 15 qualified leads a month, right? And if you're telling me, well, actually, like this sounds like I get all of this, and this is a little bit more straightforward than I thought, marketing is actually not that creative, right? What's creative about marketing is figuring out how to do it for a specific industry. Like, what are the things that really matter, right? But once you have that, it's just processes, right? And it's just SOPs. So basically, anyone can execute on it if they have the step by step. And I can tell you that your engineer or an admin in your team or you will do a better job than 99%, 99.9% probably of marketing agencies in the world if you have the right process to do it and you just execute yourself. And with the right step by step, you're going to outcompete pretty much everyone. And the dirty little secret, of course, is that AI now enables all of this. So I look at marketing campaigns all day, every day. I see a million MSPs fly by. I've analyzed every major city in the world. Well, in English, in the larger English-speaking countries, and I can tell you from the thousands and thousands of MSP websites that I've seen that with AI you can produce better stuff again than 99%. So with AI, you can outcompete pretty much all markets. And I think that if you do it now and you start now, you're going to absolutely crush it. Also in terms of website design and so on, right? Because most people, they type, I need an IT support blog, but with better prompts, you can just have your own brand identity, your brand voice, all that stuff just gets inserted. So your communication is consistent, your imagery is consistent. And in the end, it's about having like a good prompting structure, right? So if you can create that for yourself, then after that, you won't have issues anymore. Like you cannot imagine how hard it was to do branding in the past. It's insanely tough. Now you tell the prompt, hey, this is like these 5 lines is how we like to communicate. You know, like it's ridiculously easy these days. And to be honest, I feel like MSPs shouldn't outsource anymore. If you ask me, like I feel like you guys should do it yourself. You're great at process, you're great at tech, you're great at using SaaS. Like I don't see, if it was my business and I was an MSP business owner, I would solve the problem myself because I've seen so many MSPs get burned with agencies that I would just not recommend that route. And that may even include not using us, right? It's like I believe in solving problems yourself as the visionary. Okay, so easy, use the AI. The AI will also build the entire freaking website. You'll have better copy than anyone. You'll have better conversions than anyone. You have better designs than everyone. And that's important because in marketing and in digital presence, the winner really takes all. So you got to make absolutely sure that you just do a better job than every single other person in the market. And if you have a solid website and you have clean traffic, you're going to get leads. And then again, here, just to prove that I know that I'm talking about, Matthew, Jeff, Roman, Chris, I see another Chris. I wanted to add the one in the bottom because it's ChatGPT leads, which I think is very cool. But yeah, you've been awesome, blah, 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 more leads within 2 weeks, 3 prospects within a single week, and so on, right? So, and everything that I'm teaching you is also things that you can do yourself. So if you want to take this to the next level, I just wanted to make this little graphic for you. This is kind of like how people buy. And in the red zone, you have being visible on the internet, right? Which is kind of what I just showed you. If you want to take this to the next level, then you need to understand that it's not just about being visible online, right? What I showed you about the local SEO is that you need to have more testimonials and you want to have the imagery and everything like that. And that means that if you're just visible where people are looking, it's not enough. When you go on the internet and you want to buy something, you're going to find 20 things, but you want the thing that's most attractive, right? You want your perfect fit. So the only way to get leads is not just okay to be online. You also need to outshine your competitors. And at its most basic level, that is local SEO, more testimonials, better profile. Like if you can just get that set up, you will likely already start getting some leads, even if your website's rubbish. But it's going to be slow. And it's like no one has time for slow, right? If you can take a few more steps, like have a good website that speaks to your ideal client's pain points, like Sonar IT did, right? It's a smaller company serving smaller clients. And if you can demonstrate that you can solve their problem, and then finally, if you go as far as to also make a really good offer, then you're going to absolutely clean up house. So if you have an urgent need for leads, then you just need to make an offer they have to take, right? Like make an offer so good that 3 years later, that business owner will be like, I should have just taken up on that MSP's offer, right? If you can come up with an offer like that, then that would help you a ton, right? Because that means that everyone's going to be thinking like, oh man, I should have taken that offer. There was such great value for money, or so close by, or such good response rate, or this. And that's really what you want to have. Okay, so starting to get a little bit closer to closing, but you're doing great. Stick with me here. So we want to summarize AI-powered inbound marketing, right? The leads, they won't waste your time, right? They're ready to buy. There's also no more need really for MSP marketing agencies, even ourselves. Like I think you could do this yourself. So that means you can save tons of cash and you can execute whenever you want. And it's also easy to set up and maintain, as well as that you can get more leads quickly, but you can also scale it really, really big. And then you just remember your city has deals. You just need the tech to receive them, right? This is all, I think, probably we haven't seen these leads before. Okay, so why did I make this? On the one hand, I'm paying it forward. I had help when I started my first business, and that was like real help from someone who did not have to give that to me and asked for nothing in return. And it always kind of stuck by me because he asked me like, hey, look, if you can do this for someone else in the future, then please do so, right? So that kind of always stuck with me throughout my the businesses that I've run. So that's one. But also, I'm really seeing that MSPs are already using AI to generate leads. And I think that the MSPs that really hook into this now, they are the ones that are going to win the race, right? Like MSPs, they already use AI for pretty much everything aside lead generation, which I think is just absolutely silly, right? So that's also part of the reason that I did this. And there are assets still, and developing this process, doing this yourself, it really does cost $300,000-$400,000. Imagine hiring a team of people to try to figure this out over a multi-year span, right? It's just not happening. So, but having the process, having the SOPs, having the step-by-step, just sharing that and having MSPs to potentially work on this themselves, I think it just makes sense to me because you guys are so good at process. I think it would be a waste to give control to someone that's not inside your business, and I would just execute on this. So if you ask me what is the way, I would tell you this is the way to generate leads, right? And this is a little bit rough, but bear with me because it's probably the truth. You can do this yourself through trial and error, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. You'd never actually know if you're optimized. You have the years and decades, spend years or even decades, and you'll miss out on a ton of ideal clients in your meantime. And you can feel we're getting into a pitch here. And that is, I promise it's short, like don't worry. But we do actually have this SOP and the step-by-step. Right? And you can get that map to the minefield because I want you to execute on this yourself. It's so important to just manage your own lead generation. So that comes with access to mentors and support, and you can just skip all the years of testing and insanely expensive learning curve. So we really hold nothing back. We just have a step-by-step that I'm not even expecting you to execute on, but someone inside your business. And that's basically what you want, right? Best commercial week ever. Thank you so much. It leads here because of you. A real website plus weekly qualified leads that are top notch for what we do, right? So these guys started with the call, and credit to Pulseway. Normally do like this really long, like, call me flow. I'm not going to do that with you guys because, you know, I want to give my respect to both Pulseway and you guys. But I will say that if you book a call within 24 hours, and you mention Pulseway, then I will check your market and everything for free. So I will first 100% check that this could work for you and discuss it with you, but I'll also give you 30% off. And that's a good chunk. So if you do this within 24 hours, that's really a condition, and you got to mention Pulseway. And if you are interested in just getting in touch, then I would recommend that you just always mention Pulseway. It seems smart. And you can go to msplaunchpad.com/s, and then that will get you set up. Okay, so that was it. That was my quick pitch. Now to some more gifts. So this, you can find this on msplaunchpad.com/msp-keywords. So I can't actually see the letter S. It's behind my own face. But yes, so MSP-keywords. That's where you can pick this up. And I highly recommend you do, because this is still like ChatGPT doesn't have this information. This is proprietary. And if you want more technical advice than this, because this was still high level, which I think is important to wrap your head around, hey, what's necessary to actually succeed, and the fact that you can use AI. If you want to get a little bit more technical and a little bit more nitty gritty, if you go to MSP Launchpad's YouTube channel, on which I have like less than a handful of videos, but I did this some time ago, and you can take a look and learn a lot there. And it also has more nitty gritty on local SEO, more nitty gritty on Google Ads, and you can check that out and also learn a lot from there. Okay, guys, that was a big one. Thank you for having me, and hope the pitch wasn't too nauseating. Again, you got 24 hours to go to msplaunchpad/s, msplaunchpad.com/s, and mention Pulseway, and then you get that sweet deal. Of course, you don't have to buy, but then at least you learn what the size of the discount is and so on. Okay, so are there any questions?
Thanks so much, Louis, for that session. It was really insightful for MSPs who are just getting started and had a bit of questions about Google Ads and SEO, as well as for our mature MSPs kind of growing their MSP, right? Like getting more exposure and all that. We do have a lot of questions flooding in right now, so I'm just gonna pick a few if you have a few minutes.
Yeah, of course. I mean, delighted to.
Awesome. Let me just scroll through here. So one MSP asked, what if my company is fully remote? Do I still need a local SEO?
Okay, that's I will say that's a little bit problematic. So Google is cracking down on fake Google business profiles and stuff like that. So you do really want to have a Google business profile, because it's really the #1 way to generate leads. In that case, what I would recommend is either just use your home address, because no one cares, right? And have your little radius around that. Or you can rent a space somewhere or an office somewhere, something small, and then use that as your hub around it, right? Because that's going to be the center of where your presence is built around, kind of like a restaurant. So if you really are like 100% remote, then that's tough. But then you're gonna have to rely more on global SEO, which is tougher. I think this is better suited to companies that are at least willing to use their own home or something of the sort with a local SEO profile, Google Business Profile.
Awesome. That's a really good insight that Google's cracking down on those maybe spam addresses for businesses.
You know, the thing is, like, it's a little bit unfair, because I would say that 80% of the MSP addresses is fake, but they built those addresses a long time ago. And that's also why you'll see that there's lots of MSPs in the city center, because they're actually employing virtual offices inside those large co-working towers, right? So it's not completely fair, because other MSPs have already done it. And if you report them, they will actually get banned, which we shouldn't do because it's bad business karma. But yeah, it is what it is. Like, you need to now very often go through a video identification, and a physical address is the best way to do it. If you can do that, you're in a fantastic spot.
Awesome. That's really good advice. There's another question here that I think is really important.
Yeah.
We do have like a lot of smaller MSPs, like I said, and a lot of mature MSPs. So how much would you kind of budget for Google Ads if you were, let's say, a startup versus a mature one?
Got it. Okay, so I mean, there are MSPs that bump between 100 to 300,000 a month in Google Ads, right? Plenty of them. So in fact, Electric AI, which undoubtedly has not the best reputation here with the MSPs in the area because they gobbled up so much business and they are not known for the best service in the world. At least that's the bias of MSP business owners. But they reached $1 billion valuation in 6 years, and that's all Google Ads, right? So it's like if you can, once the system runs, you can scale it. However, I would not start with too small of a budget, because people that start with small budgets, they also tend to get nervous when they don't get a lead with the first $500 or something like that. So that's a very long answer to something that can be more easily quantified. I would, in most markets, start with 4,000 to 5,000 USD a month, something like that. You can start lower with maybe 3, especially if your market's a little bit cheaper. But if you do 5, you're just gonna have nice 3, 4 good leads a month. Probably in the first month, maybe 2, and then after that, 3-ish, 4-ish. And high quality leads, right? So you can close a customer at least every month and a half or 2 months or so. And that is enough to prove to you that the system works, and then you can scale it, and then off you go.
Awesome. Sounds good. The next question that someone asked is, how quickly will this stuff start working?
Okay, so really fast, like really, really fast, right? In the end, it's about a few things. So you saw that I'm going to talk specifically about local SEO now. So with local SEO, you saw that huge grid being visible across the entire city. Like, look, that takes some time, right? You need to have a good amount of domain authority that we talked about, and all the testimonials and nice design, and you need to post regularly. That's actually, doing that is not that time consuming, but it still needs to be done for some time. Like, you're not going to go to the moon instantly, clearly. That being said, if you just have better, more testimonials than other people, and you can ask your vendors, right? You can ask me, you can ask your colleagues, your team members, who just say something like, hey, look, I know these guys intimately, I've been working with them for years, right? And make sure that you stay within the realm of reality. Like, that's very important. People can sniff out bullshit straight away. But you can just have, it's not that hard to generate testimonials once you become really focused on doing so. And once you have more, better, trustworthy testimonials, the kind of testimonials that you would want to read on your profile, and you have some pictures, business will start flooding in. So the question then, hey, how long does it take? Like, I mean, it can start working in a month. Like, it really doesn't have to take that long. And with Google Ads, the same. You can, once the system runs, you can get or are likely to get your first lead within 2 weeks or so. But it depends on, also, you need to remember that it also depends on which market that you're in, because you're creating a local system. So if there aren't a lot of businesses close to you that are switching, then it's going to take longer, right? But if you're in a market like London or anywhere where there's just people with plenty of businesses, you're going to be absolutely fine.
That's a really good point as well. I think you touched on consistency, making sure that you stick with it, ask your clients for the testimonials to post on Google, right?
I mean, I would say so. Things can work really quickly, which is great, because then you understand, like, hey, wait, the stuff actually works. But then, I mean, for me, if I want to build my way to an 8-figure MSP or a 9-figure MSP, like, lead generation is an ongoing thing, ideally, right? I mean, you're not going to become 8 figures using treating, or maybe even 7 in the mid 7s. You're not going to get there by treating lead generation like an afterthought. Like, it's the most important thing, basically, for MSPs. It's also the hardest thing for MSPs. So the consistency will just help your lead generation become a lot cheaper and more consistent, and you'll expand to different markets. The longer you do it, the happier you're going to become. That's kind of like a rule.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm just gonna grab one more question, but don't worry, your questions are directed to us and we'll answer them directly
Awesome.
if we haven't taken it here.
Sure.
So the last question someone's asked, can my engineer really do this, or is it going to be too hard?
Okay. So I think especially MSPers would engineers would be good at this. Like I don't know your engineer, but yes, your engineer can do this. Like I can be a little bit shorter with that answer. Maybe I shouldn't. So it's more about being able to follow instructions, and it's about I mean that's pretty much it. Like it's literally a step by step. This is not hard. Like a potato can do this. The whole problem is figuring out how to do it, but after that it's just following instructions. If you want to do this correctly, which you should, you need to take on some initial responsibility to build a good offer, to define what you want your brand to sound like, right? But then after that, your engineer would just take that information and run with it. So what I would recommend is the business owner is involved at the beginning for a couple of weeks, maybe. And then, well, not nonstop, clearly. I mean, like put a few hours here and there. And then after that, the engineer can run off and basically run it.
That's really amazing. Thanks
Thank you. Appreciate
again.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks again for this session. It's really helped our MSPs kind of get familiar with the SEO, Google Ads, like you said. We're gonna provide the link again in the chat
Yeah.
for the brochure.
Awesome.
And yeah, we really enjoyed having you. Thanks so much for coming on.
My pleasure. And I want to also thank the MSPs, right, for attending. I know you guys are busy. I know that lots of you hate pitches, right? And this may come across as a little pitchy because I used some stuff from a pitch video. Sorry about that. But there was a lot of information in here that was really useful, and I hope that you execute on it because it's easier than you think. And I mean, it's there is no point to suffering for years and slow growth and not achieving your potential when there is also just the option to just throw something at an engineer and give him some time to work on it, right? So if you want our help to see whether or not you're a good fit for our SOP playbook, whatever, then hop that call within 24 hours and mention Pulseway, and I would love to give you a sweet deal on it. So thank you again for having us, and I hope it was useful. And also thank you so much for inviting me, by the way.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ciao. Bye, guys. Thank you.